You ever walk away from an argument and just feel completely drained? Like you said your piece, they said theirs, and now you're just further apart than when you started. What if I told you our whole approach to arguing is just wrong? Okay, let's dive into a blueprint that could honestly change every single conversation you have from now on.
Just let that sink in for a second. We're so hardwired to win, to prove our point, to be right. But what if, in that rush to victory, we're actually sacrificing the very connection we have with that person? This one question, it challenges the entire reason we even engage in these tough moments.
See, this is the problem. We treat disagreements like a battle, a war that someone has to win and someone has to lose. But that mindset, it pretty much guarantees we're going to fail before we even start. So this guy, Jefferson Fisher, he's a former trial lawyer who's now a communications expert. He points out this huge flaw in our thinking. He says the goal isn't to score points or just demolish the other person's position. Actually, trying to do that is the very reason we feel so stuck and misunderstood. Okay, so if we're not supposed to be trying to win, then what on earth are we supposed to be doing? This is where we need a total shift in perspective. We have to reframe the entire purpose of the conversation. And this is the perfect way to think about it. An argument isn't a battlefield. It's a tangled knot. A knot of misunderstanding, maybe some fear, some history. And your job isn't to take a sword and slice it in half. Your job is to patiently and together find the threads and gently pull them apart. This right here is the absolute key. All that frustration, that anger you're seeing, it's probably not a direct attack on you. It's more like a desperate signal flare. They're fighting for your understanding, not against you. And this explains why just throwing a bunch of facts and stats at someone almost never works. When a belief is really deeply held, it's tied into their identity, their family, their whole life story. So when you challenge it, you're not just debating an idea, you're threatening who they are. And nobody gives up their identity without a fight. All right, so we've got the new goal. Unravel the knot, don't win the war. Great. But how do we actually do that? Let's get into the practical tools, the stuff you can start using literally today. So tool number 1. This targets the single biggest mistake we all make in communication. We just assume that what we said is what the other person heard. But honestly, we are terrible judges of our own tone. So there's a simple game-changing question you can ask. What did you hear me say? And you can see exactly why this is so powerful right here. You might think you're just making a simple statement, but to them, it lands like an accusation. You think your tone is neutral, they hear anger. By asking, what did you hear, you get a peek into their reality. It gives you a chance to say, whoa, okay, that is not what I meant at all. Let me try that again. It's literally a reset button for the whole conversation. All right, tool number 2. When you feel that surge of defensiveness or anger rising up, your instinct is to jump right in and fight back. Instead, do nothing. Just breathe. A quiet pause for just 5, maybe 7 seconds can completely change the energy in the room. It calms your nervous system and theirs, and it puts you back in control. Now, this 3-step framework, this is incredible, especially when you're talking to someone who's just totally shut down. You start with something you both know is true. I know. Then you disarm them by taking away what they think you're going to ask for. I'm not. And finally, you open the door to something new. I'm open. It's like a key that can unlock a conversation that seemed hopelessly deadlocked. So, we've got the philosophy, we've got the tools. Now let's put it all to the test in a couple of the most high-stakes arenas we all deal with: work and, of course, family. First up, the workplace. Navigating these dynamics, well, it takes a special kind of clear, confident communication. And it's not about being the loudest person in the meeting. It's usually about being the most composed. Yeah, this is so crucial. When you over-explain yourself, it can actually signal a lack of confidence. It's like you're trying to convince yourself as much as them. Instead, think of yourself as a well of information, not a waterfall. People can draw what they need from you. And that last line, it's not rude. It's a calm, firm way to set a boundary without escalating anything. And now for the big one, parents. We all know these talks can be the most emotionally loaded, right? It can feel like you're stuck in the same old roles, running the same script you've been running your whole life. This reframe is a total game changer. When a parent is being judgmental, what they're often trying and failing to say is, I love you and I am worried about you. They're just using the wrong tool to express it. The intention underneath is almost always care. So trying to argue against their specific criticism, that's a losing battle. You'll never win. Instead, you just bypass the judgment and you speak directly to the value underneath it. When you say, I can tell my well-being is really important to you, you're validating their love without having to agree with their criticism. It completely short-circuits the old dynamic. So you see, these tools aren't just about surviving tough conversations. They're about building relationships that can actually last. And the real measure of that strength is repair. Let's be real. Conflict is going to happen in every single relationship. The goal isn't a life without fights. A truly healthy, strong connection is measured by how quickly you can both come back together after things go wrong, reconnect, and repair that tear.
Think about it. It's rarely one giant explosion that ends a relationship. It's death by 1,000 cuts. It's the hundreds of tiny moments of misunderstanding or quiet resentment where one person could have reached out to fix it, but didn't. That's the slow, silent way connections just fade away.
And this is maybe the most important thing to get about repair. You don't have to agree with the other person to fix the connection. You just have to validate their feeling. A simple phrase like, I get why you're so upset, or yeah, I can see how that would be frustrating. It tells them they've been heard. And being heard is the first step to everything else. So at the end of the day, why does all this matter so much? Well, this quote kind of says it all. Every conversation is an opportunity to connect, to understand, to repair. And this is a pretty stark reminder to treat each one like it really, truly counts. Because it does.